Okay, this is part 3 of our pre-foreclosure series, and in this video I want to talk about the pros and cons of buying pre-foreclosures. Okay, I'll give you at least 3 pros and 3 cons, and you can make a determination yourself. Which, by the way, I'm holding this workbook because this is a part of a workshop that I teach all the ins and outs of creative real estate investing, subject to creative or owner financing, foreclosures. I give you steps on how to do it from entry to exit. So if you're interested in joining us for one of our upcoming workshops, or maybe you want to watch the replay and get access to this workbook, we have underwriting worksheets. We have an entire training course on this. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, and of course you can click one of the links in the video. So let's talk about some pros and cons of buying pre-foreclosure. So I'll say pros and then cons. And as I said, I'll give you at least 3 of them and you can make a determination. First pro is low barrier of entry. Okay, low barrier of entry. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a low barrier of entry because if you're acquiring pre-foreclosures like we do and many of our colleagues do creatively, you don't necessarily have to use your own credit, your credentials, and in many cases, you're using little to none of your own cash because a pre-foreclosure is in default. That means the borrower owes the bank is about to foreclose, there's a pending auction, and if you can structure the deal in a creative way to pay the arrears so that the loan that already exists on that home can be reinstated, you can give the seller some money to walk away, and whatever other costs are associated to acquiring the property, you can just take over the existing loan and get it reinstated, and you can own the home. So that won't require your credit, it won't require your credentials, and depending on how you structure the deal with other outside individuals, partners, or private money lenders, it may not include your own personal money. So there's a low barrier of entry. I mean, just think about it. Whether it's a pre-foreclosure, any type of property, if you don't go a creative way, you go the conventional way, then that means you have to get pre-approved for the loan. It may take you 30 to 45 days for all the underwriting and for all the documentation. You got to get appraisals. Like, there's a list of things that you have to do, and you're probably not going to have time to do all that if you are, let's say, 3 to 6 weeks away from an actual auction date. So that won't work. But this is a low barrier of entry. A con, well, high level of risk. And this is why I always tell my mentees and students, this is a very sophisticated way of investing in real estate, even though people like me who like to run our mouths all the time, that's what a lot of us entrepreneurs do, we make it sound so easy. Oh, it's no problem. It's just a few simple steps. I'm telling you, it sounds like that in theory, but this is a very complex strategy, especially when you lean into investing in pre-foreclosures creatively using strategies like subject to. There are a lot of moving parts. So there is a high level of risk. But even if you're planning on investing in pre-foreclosures, acquiring those properties with a traditional loan, right? Or with a hard money lender, and you're going to not take over the existing loan. Yes, there still may be some lower barrier of entry than just the conventional or traditional way of buying a piece of property, but there's still a high level of risk in that. There's always a high level of risk, okay? The second pro, well, in this case, the seller needs urgent help. 100% the seller needs urgent help. Why do you think the seller needs urgent help? Because if the seller doesn't do anything, and I've seen this time and time again, I promise you, it hurts my heart every 30 days when I go to the auction sites after the first Tuesday of every month when the auctions take place here in Georgia. I'm in Georgia. It hurts my heart to see the number of houses that have been auctioned. on the courthouse steps that are now owned by the bank or sold to a third party. And I know we've either talked to the homeowner, or they just blatantly, cussed us out and ignored us, or told us that, oh, I'm working it out, I got everything situated, blah, 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 it's not in foreclosure. And then when we see those properties on the chopping block, I think to myself, wow, I mean, it's a wrap now. Because if someone else bought it, they're going to file an eviction, and they're going to have to move out. If the bank bought it, they're going to file an eviction, and they're going to have to move out. So the seller needs urgent help. And again, yes, you got to be empathetic, compassionate, patient, and understanding of their situation, but there also needs to be a sense of urgency when you do have an opportunity to speak to seller. So what are some of the cons? Well, seller has lots of distress. So how is that a con? Well, you can get conned because there are a lot of things you just don't know, and your empathy, your compassion, your patience and understanding can get you in a trap or in a web of a whole lot of distress if you're not aware of the cons that come with buying pre-foreclosures. And last but not least, number 3, the pro is less competition. Okay? Less competition because a lot of people, especially real estate investors who may have money, who may have private money lenders, who may have lines of credit, they might not want to deal with all the stress that comes with dealing with people who are in pre-foreclosure. It's a lot of problems that they might feel like I can make the same amount of money just doing regular deals, working with agents, or just vetting and filtering my property. So it's less competition. However, the con, it's more unpredictable because you just never know what you're going to get into. And I'm not just talking about at the point of talking to someone that may be interested in working with you, but by the time you get to the property physically and you look at all of the problems that you find, it's just unpredictable. So it's not as predictable as it would be if you're buying properties with agents through the MLS or in other conventional or traditional ways. So these are just a few pros and cons of buying pre-foreclosures. Pro, low barrier of entry. Con, high level of risk. Pro, seller needs urgent help. Con, seller has a lot of distress, problems that you might not want to take on. Pro, less competition because a whole lot of investors ain't got their time to put their money in all this drama. Con, more unpredictable. So if you have any other questions about this, please drop the question in the comments, or again, click the link. We have workbooks, workshops, regular creative real estate meetups, and entire courses, along with a 1-year mentorship program to show you exactly how you can invest in pre-foreclosures.